So what was the question again? Oh, why is it called the traffic jam? Well, you know, the reason is, it's because I have two really cool cars. Seriously cool cars. And I love drifting, racing, because I am fast and slick. And plus, I like to create a bit of traffic jam myself with a whole lot of great music. Bulumnaka, my name is Real, your host and DJ, right here on the Today FM Traffic Jam every weekday from 3 p.m. to 7. Right here on Today FM, today's hit music.
In tonight's bulletin, Prime Minister urges Oceania Confederation of Credit Union Leagues to serve with honesty and sincerity. Labour Minister to brief ILO governing body in Geneva. And a mock exercise held to test for Ebola response. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Police are looking for a suspect in two cases of alleged rape and abduction in a settlement near Suva. In the first incident, a man is alleged to have raped a 5-year-old girl in some bushes near her home in the early hours of Monday morning. The child who was sleeping was taken outside by the suspect after he removed louvers from a window. Around 3:30 a.m. on the same day, a man was discovered allegedly trying to rape an 8-year-old girl. The suspect allegedly entered the victim's home and went to her bedroom while she was sleeping. He was discovered by the victim's mother and fled the scene. Members of the Oceania Confederation of Credit Union Leagues have been reminded to serve the community with honesty and sincerity. While opening the Confederation's conference today, Prime Minister Varange Bainimarama said credit unions must always practice accountability and good governance. Alan Stoltz has more.
The Prime Minister's delivery was stern and to the point.
You have been powerful allies in keeping our people from falling victim to greedy moneylenders. But we are equally insistent that credit unions are bound by the same high standards of governance and accountability that apply to other financial institutions.
Using the failure of the former National Bank of Fiji, Bainimarama told participants that under his government, such incidents will not be entertained.
The absolute need for the highest standards of probity, accountability, and good governance in all our financial institutions, whether banks or credit unions. My government will have zero tolerance for any institution that fails to meet these standards. And we will be ruthless in upholding the interests of shareholders, investors, and the interests of our nation and its reputation in the international marketplace.
The Congress is in its 7th year and annually brings together credit union movements and their leagues, federations and government regulators from throughout the Pacific region. Oceania Confederation of Credit Union League Secretariat Officer Luce Tamani says the main challenge is to be more innovative.
The challenge for us, I guess, is to continue to produce a program that is both relevant and also that our delegates find of value, because they are the ones at the end of the day that make the Congress work. The fact that they turn up in numbers indicate their support and interest continuing.
The Congress is made up of 19 member countries with new inclusions like the Philippines. It hopes to increase membership in the near future. Ellen Stalls, FBC News.
Prime Minister Varange Bainimarama has nominated Kiriba's President Anote Tong as a candidate to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. Fiji's acting head of mission in Australia, Cheryl Brown Irava, has conveyed a letter of Bainimarama's support to the Tong Nobel Committee. Bainimarama says Tong's personal commitment to advocating a stronger and more coordinated international response to the climate change challenges of our times is exemplary and deserving of recognition. He says the support towards a broader and comprehensive response to climate change is evident in the support that Tong provides to regional institutions like the Pacific Islands Development Forum. Now, Fiji has been progressive in the implementation of industrial relations laws. This is part of the address that Tiochi Conrote, Minister for Employment, Industrial Relations and Productivity, will include in Fiji's brief to the governing body of the International Labour Organization next week. Maggie Boyle has more.
Last month, the International Labour Organization sent a delegation to Fiji on a one-week visit to evaluate workers' rights. Next week, the minister responsible, Tiochi Conrote, heads to Geneva to address the ILO's governing body on Fiji's progress.
I'm there to explain and give them a brief on how things are back here in terms of industrial relations, and that's about it. As you know, we had a direct contact mission team that was here, and they were quite satisfied with what they saw. So hopefully I'll just sort of add on to what they have put down in their report.
Head of the visiting ILO mission, Abdul Karoma, is reported in the overseas press saying that Fiji has much to do to meet its commitments. Conrote, however, says the visit in October was a positive one.
Judge Karoma, in his summing up, made a lot of favorable comments about the visit. And, judging from his summary, I take it that they were quite happy and satisfied with progress to date. Sure, there are areas, within the labor relations here in Fiji that probably needs looking into. But after having spoken to him and members of his team, I am of the impression that they were quite satisfied with the way government intends to do things in the future.
Conrote says irrespective of the pending ILO report, Fiji has made inroads when it comes to industrial relations, and it's a message he will reiterate.
They got the message that perhaps gone are the days of confrontation, and I was very happy that I managed to get most of the other stakeholders in the same room, and we had a very good meeting. And that is how I intend, to play my role as a minister, and in line with government long-term objectives. So hopefully by the end of the day, we'll have a win-win situation. I guess, it's easier said than done, but, I'll work on it.
ILO mission head Karoma is quoted as saying that Fiji needs to take rapid action around rights to freedom of association and collective bargaining. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
Fiji is preparing itself should the deadly Ebola virus reach our part of the world. Health and Border authorities conducted a mock Ebola exercise at Nandi Airport today to test their response to this new threat. Christopher Chand reports.
We live and learn, eh? So they say.
These are members of the multi-agency advisory group that is planning to ensure Fiji is ready to detect and respond to suspected Ebola cases. Their task this morning was to run their first mock exercise to test their response to the virus.
At the moment, the threat in Fiji is still assessed as low. It's still been assessed as low, but we with all this preparedness plan that we are putting in place, we just need to be ready, and that's why this exercise is done. Well, we are hoping that we will never get a suspected case.
Although it was a mock exercise, authorities were treating it as though it was a real situation. The media was denied access to the runway, where a suspected patient was being quarantined. Health officials then isolated the patient and transferred him to the Lautoka hospital, where an isolation facility has been set up.
This is one of the preparatory measures to combat the deadly disease that is already killing a lot of people in Western Africa. And Fiji, as you know, is a very small country. We cannot take risk from this disease, and we are all preparing for the worst case scenarios.
One crucial area that has been identified is the lack of protective gear for health officials who may come in contact with suspected cases. This morning they were using safety equipment meant for the H1N1 virus. They weren't fully geared up.
Yeah, you're right. The full gear that is recommended by WHO is still not available. But whatever we are using now, as Minister of Health, we are for our call of duties. Whatever is there available, we have to use those gears, to the best of our ability, in ensuring that, we are protected by the case.
The risk of Ebola in Fiji is still low, but the technical agencies group is planning ahead to ensure we are ready for the virus if it ever arrives here. Christopher Chand, FBC News.
Coming up after the break, construction industry faces a shortage of skilled labourers.
Bula FM nambandua na serane wasiningo na dibawa tara ni sibiti ko bekian dana diwa en na tini na miniti na mai pakuriti ora bengra bena nontan nonongo kanda na dabati ko anin rona kaloko en ka venden de bobi na tengwa libu ni mai dabati ko na woni mataka bo kan libu sarati ko na bi ser tali oni na namaka ndo badati mai kine na kenan dauro bo di kanamaki Bula binaka Ayo salamilawa do bataki ya wana batara ne woni vio na kaloko moni fiki na barumbuka ena Bula FM nambandua ena sere
Welcome back to FBC News. A Fijian man accused of killing a woman and her 3-year-old child whose bodies were discovered in New Zealand last month can now be named. 41-year-old Kamal Gyanendra Reddy pleaded not guilty in the Auckland District Court to the murders of Pakiza Faisal and her daughter Jojo, who went missing about 7 years ago. Radio New Zealand International reports their remains were found beneath the Takapuna Landings Bridge on the North Shore last month. Police believe they were killed in late 2006 or early 2007. Now, another man, Balkrishna Naidu, has pleaded not guilty to 2 charges of being an accessory and helping Reddy avoid arrest. Reddy has been remanded in custody while Naidu was granted bail. Their trial is set for next September. The Minister for Tourism, Fayaz Koya, says the sudden resignation of Fiji Airways CEO Stefan Pikler is rather despondent, given his impressive track record with the national airline. Pikler has confirmed he is returning to Germany to take up an appointment with Air Berlin as its CEO in February next year. Pikler is also chairman of Tourism Fiji.
Very sad loss, but his country calls, and obviously, he's got his country at heart also. And but for us, yes, he was wonderful whilst he was here. It's really sorry to see him go.
Koya adds that work is now underway to find a successor to Pikler on the Tourism Fiji board. The construction industry lacks skilled workers. This was revealed to FBC News by the Fiji Master Builders Association and industry reps. Chanel Steven reports as a result, the construction industry has seen an increase in foreign labourers.
Foreign construction workers have been brought in to work on projects like the public rental board flats at Reiwai in Suva. And Fiji Master Builders Association Vijay Raghavan admits foreign workers are committed and work better than some local construction workers.
Particularly when the Chinese bring in skilled laborers, skilled workers rather, and to some extent they bring in skilled laborers as well. Generally we find that our local people, with greatest respect, have got no commitment of working. It's common knowledge. You get guys coming to work, and there's an absenteeism of at least out of the 24 days they work in throughout the month. Most of them, would not attend to work for reason best known to them for several days.
With this lack of commitment, the association says construction companies find it difficult to commit to large projects. Architect Sanjay Patel also agrees foreign workers need to be introduced in the system as large projects have kicked off in Momi Nandi, Nandi Airport, Denarau and other commercial projects across Fiji.
Start looking abroad for skilled labor. We can't, or we don't have the facility in the country to train skilled workers immediately to fill the vacuum.
Both Patel and Raghavan have recommended the need to train local construction workers with workers from overseas. 2 decades ago, there was a similar boom in the construction industry and local cane cutters were trained as construction workers. Today, they are professionals. But Fiji needs more than just on-the-job training.
If the Chinese do bring in people, I don't think we can object to that. But maybe we'll be able to, our people may be able to learn from them, because they do have some very fast technology in the building industry.
Industry reps welcome foreign workers, saying this must happen to make Fiji like Singapore and other countries who have welcomed investments. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
3 former parliamentarians are calling on women to collaborate to increase women's participation in parliament. The women, who were also unsuccessful candidates in the September general election, made the comment in the Fiji Women's Forum post-election debrief today. Shireen Lata has more.
44 female candidates contested the 2014 general election and secured only 15% of the total votes. According to the Fiji Women's Forum, this number should increase in the next election, as 50% of the total voters are females. And to promote women's participation in leadership, a post-election debrief was held in Suva, encouraging women to make their voices count. Fiji Labour Party member and unsuccessful candidate Monica Raghavan encouraged other women to participate.
If you're really serious about your political career, one is don't give up, learn from what happened, rethink, and educate yourself in the different areas.
Former Assistant Minister for Fijian Affairs, Culture and Heritage in the Lesaniangarase government and Sodelpa member, Nanise Nungusuda, says she has found out that most women aren't ready to join political parties due to family commitments. Others are too scared to join politics.
What I encourage them to do, be bold, be brave.
Another Sodelpa member, Losena Salambula, says nothing should deter women to pursue her political goal. Salambula, who contested the 2014 general election, could not make it to parliament, but she says this is not the end of her political career.
For the first couple of seconds, I was quite angry. I was quite angry, to be very frank. And then all of a sudden, not long, maybe just after a second two, I came to my senses. And then I said, okay, maybe this is what God has for us. So I have to accept it.
Later this evening, the Fiji Women's Forum will be launching the findings of a research project, Public Perceptions of Women in Leadership, undertaken to draw attention to the gender bias that lies at the heart of why women are underrepresented in government. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
We turn to sports now, and here's Jamie with the latest.
Thanks, Amrita. Good evening in sports after the break. More problems for Ben Ryan as yet another Sevens rep leaves the Fiji squad for an overseas contract. And Semesa Rokundunguni named in England's matchday squad. This and more coming up.
मेरा चांद मुझे आया है नजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। छाया है नशा मेरे आंखों पर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। रह जाए ना प्यासा मेरा प्यार, मेरे बाहों में भर दे मेरा यार, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर, ऐ रात जरा थम थम के गुजर। हाय मिर्ची एफएम पर मैं हूं जितेन शांडिल। शामिल हो जाएगा हमारे साथ टुनाइट शो में Monday to Friday from 7 PM to 12 AM. मिर्ची एफएम it's more कुछ never gonna get it तेरे हाथ कभी ना नहीं मनी ना मनी।
Vodafone Fiji Sevens coach Ben Ryan has confirmed the former skipper Seta Whanodakau will not be part of the national team for the Dubai and South Africa tournaments. The cow has decided to take up a contract in Sri Lanka, and Ryan says this was expected. The mentor adds that they had tried to match what the cow was being offered in Sri Lanka, but this came to naught. Ryan's squad is currently in camp with the final team to Dubai and South Africa to be named after the Bailey's Coral Coast Sevens next weekend. The Fiji military forces hosted a church service today to honor the players who took part in the Ratu Sukuna Bowl Challenge. Army Commander Brigadier General Mosese Tikoi Tonga dedicated the win to his men who had lost their lives in 2000 and also to the man after whom the trophy is named. Tsalen Dadakadaka has more.
The Army rugby side marched boldly into Tuvasu Hall at Queen Elizabeth Barracks for a church service in honor of its efforts in retaining the Sukuna Bowl. During the service, the commander, Brigadier General Mosese Tikoitonga, commended his troops for a job well done. Tikoitonga paid special tribute to the fact that the win was significant this year compared to previous years because it marked the 100th year of the First World War, a war which Ratu Selala Sukuna fought in.
In the 100 years of that First World War, there is no better year to win the Sukuna Bowl than this.
The victory was also dedicated to the 6 members of the 2 disciplined forces that lost their lives in the mutiny of 2000.
What a way to end our year with a high note, because we promise our commander FMF that we'll get that Sukuna Bowl for him. Not only to him, but to our government, the government of the day, to our Prime Minister, who has been supporting us all along, and all our families and supporters, especially those in the Middle East.
It has been a sweet homecoming to Queen Elizabeth Barracks for the Sukuna Bowl, with November being a month that holds a lot of significance in the Army's history. The victory could not have come at a better time. Salendo Vakavak, FBC Sports.
Fijian rugby flyer Semesa Rokundunguni has been named in England's 23 matchday squad to prepare for the test against New Zealand on Sunday. Rokundunguni becomes the first Fijian to be named by the Palms for a full international, and his club form this season should see him get game time against the Kiwis.
Well, I think it came about really at the end of last season. You know, he's playing well for Bath. Bath coaches very, very positive. We went and visited them about his talent and his potential. We brought him in for the Barbarians game, so we had a bit of chance to work with him in before we left for New Zealand. But it's primarily his form in the first half of this season, and probably the balance we're looking for in our backline. You know, we need to have people who've got power and physicality and who can break tackles by either running through people or running around them, and he seems to do that pretty well.
Rokundunguni has been rated by England coach Stuart Lancaster as a key man for the English. The Vodafone Fiji Under-20 football side opened its Australian tour with a 1-1 draw against Western Sydney Wanderers last night. However, while the result was positive, what has delighted the coaching staff is the improvement shown by players. Indra Singh has more on the team.
The Fiji Under-20s have opened their Australia tour with a draw, but their performance is what has drawn praises from the coach.
I would say the boys are doing whatever instructions were given, whatever strategies and plans were given to them. And I would say the system of play which we implemented with the boys, it's really working well, and the boys are understanding. Slowly by slowly, I would say not perfect, but slowly by slowly they are adapting to the system.
In the build-up to the 2015 World Cup, tours as such will play a key role, hence results don't speak volumes as yet.
Quite impressed with the performance, because we do not go for the results now, as it is not our main priority. Our main priority is the performance and the effort which the boys put into a game.
After the 4-match tour, the side jets into New Zealand next week for the OFC President's Cup, which is also something that Kumar is looking forward to.
What we want to do, yesterday they did whatever the strategy and the system was supposed to be done, and they have done very well yesterday. I would say not perfect, but yes, they are improving, and they should improve game by game.
Taking on the giants of world football at the under-20 level is never going to be easy, but taking baby steps in the current preparation stage could just work in Fiji's favour. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Fiji athletics great Samu Yavala has called on today's athletes to take pride in representing the country overseas. Speaking at a press conference earlier this week, the Fiji Sports Hall of Fame inductee said there is one major factor that differentiates today's athletes from those of his time.
The challenge that they face is almost the same as we face in terms of athletic competition. But the guts in doing it, it's not there, because they are looking forward for trips. Us, we don't look forward for trips. We just look for having fun with our training. We train as a group, and we fought amongst ourselves to be better off. After that, when we walked out as friends. But in competition time, we go for it. Not for the sake of beating the next person, but to get the better time.
Yavala represented Fiji to 3 South Pacific Games, setting records in the 200 and 400 meters as well as the long jump. He will be inducted into the Fiji Olympic Order during the 2014 Fiji Sports Hall of Fame dinner at Novotel Hotel in Lamy on November 21st. That's it from Sports Tonight. It's back to Amrita now with business.
Fiji Airways has maintained above industry standard targets, reporting an on-time performance or OTP of 86.49% last month. Its OTP was 89.95% in September and 84.7% in August. Outgoing Group Managing Director and Chief Executive Stefan Pickler says he was pleased at the performance. Minor mechanical issues with some Boeing 737 aircraft, along with operational related factors, contributed to some disruptions. However, he says the national carrier is tracking at an average of 83.05% for the past 10 months. Fiji Link recorded 91.66% OTP last month. Key factors affecting Fiji Link's October performances were weather conditions, primarily in Nosori and Lambasa, and 2 unscheduled maintenance on its aircraft. It's time for weather with Trish.
Thank you, Amrita. By the way, I love your leopard print. Well, let's take a look at today's conditions with the usual again, folks. Suva and Lambasa, as well as Savu Savu, with cloudy skies and brief showers early in the day, followed by a fine afternoon. The rest of the centers, Nandi, Lautoka and Ba, all had fine weather in the morning and afternoon, following isolated showers. Temperature, Suva, Nandi with 30, Lautoka 31, Ba 32, Savu Savu with the lowest 28, and Lambasa hitting 32. If you're wondering what tomorrow's forecast will be like, well, you could get to see Suva and Savu Savu get pretty much the same weather as they had today. The rest of the centers, you folks should expect a pretty good day with occasional cloudy skies and a chance of scattered showers throughout the day. Today's photo of the day was taken at Natovi Jetty in Tailebu thanks to Ashutosh of Dabuilebu Housing in Nosori.
Thanks, Trish. Much obliged by the compliment. The main points again. Police are looking for a suspect in 2 cases of alleged rape and abduction in a settlement near Suva. Prime Minister Varenga Bainimarama has nominated Kiribati President Anote Tong as a candidate to receive the Nobel Peace Prize. And Fiji has been progressive in the implementation of industrial relations laws. On to this week's poll question. Should Fijian rugby players put club before country? Visit our FBC website to take part. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via our Facebook page FBC News. And if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC News or simply #FBC News. That's all for tonight. Nisa Modemanda.